Hi everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we will discuss about work queues in Linux. So let's get started. So in previous videos, we have discussed about soft IRQs and tasklets. So in this video, we will focus on work queues. We will also discuss about different structures and functions related to the work queues. And at the end, we will implement interrupt handler, and we will run the work queues, and we will see how does that work. So let's see. So work queues are run by the kernel threads. So when we get the work in the work queues, those works are scheduled by kernel on the kernel threads. So we can say that the work queues run in the kernel process context, and they are not atomic like tasklets. And work queues, uh, as they are running in the process context, so they can be schedulable and they can sleep. So we have to use work queues where our code can sleep. So here is the example, like we can use work queue when we allocate a lot of memory, or we are performing some block device IO. For those purposes, we can use the work queues. So every CPU or processor has default worker threads, and these are the kernel threads. So until or unless it is required, we don't have to create our own thread, and most of the time we can do our work with the help of those default worker threads that is defined for a specific processor or CPU. So, and these worker threads are not specific for a specific task. They can run the work from different uh, uh, and drivers, the work generated by different device drivers or interrupts from different devices. So here is the structure of work queue. So it contains the pointer to different pool work queues. We will discuss about what is pool work queues and the list of other work queues. Here you can see this is the structure pool work queue. So this is the structure that is kind of service to this work queue structure. So it is maintained for each CPU in the system. And there are other variables like mutex to provide the work to secure or synchronize the work queue. So this is the pool work queue structure. So here you can see this is the important structure worker pool. So in this structure, all our works are put so that kernel thread or the worker thread can take those tasks one by one, and it can run on that. And this is the pointer to associated work queue. And there are other variable. So like nr active can tell that how many works are currently active and that work queue. So to run our work queue, first we have to define the work that we want to run on that work queue. So this is the structure of our work. So it contains the data that we want to provide, and this is the work queue function that will run when we run our work queue. And this is the entry of the work queue structure. So here is the code for worker thread. So let's see what it does. So first we can see that it takes a worker thread pointed to the worker. So it takes a worker and the worker pool. So this worker will take work one by one from this worker pool, and it will try to execute the function associated for that particular work. So here you can see this is a do while loop. So it is working on that pool. So here you can see it is taking work one by one, and It is scheduling or working or processing those work with the help of these function process one work or process scheduled works. So let's see what these two functions does. So here you can see that process scheduled works internally calls process one work. It takes the worker thread and the work that we want to process. So here is the implementation of process one work function. So I have not given the whole code for this function because it is very long. So in summary, we can read this statement. It is saying everything. So it is saying this function contains all the logics necessary to process a single work, including synchronization against and interaction with other workers on the same CPU, queuing and flushing. As long as context requirement is met, any worker can call this function to process a work. So that means it contains all the necessary code to process a work, including synchronization, so that we can protect the data for that particular work. And also it can interact with other worker threads running on the same CPU. So if we want to use the work queue functionality of Linux kernel in our device driver code, then we have to declare the work with the help of this macro declare work. It takes the name of the work and the function associated with that and the data that we want to provide to that function. After declaring the work, we can init our work in the driver code. So here we want to provide the pointer to the work that we have already defined and the function that we have defined and associated data. So this worker handler is scheduled with the help of the interrupt handler for which this work queue will be running, because every work queue or bottom half is associated with the top half, and top half is the interrupt handler. So when handler is returning after providing the acknowledgement, it will schedule that work as we have discussed in the last video. In that video we saw how we can schedule the tasklet in the interrupt handler. Or if we want to schedule our work after some specific time, then we can define in this way. So here we have to provide the delay after how much time it will run. So after that much time, this our work will be automatically scheduled or processed by the processor. So if we want to create our own work queue, then this is the function alloc work queue. So here you can see this variable tells the print statement for this specific work queue, and these are the flags. And this variable tells how many number of works will be active on a specific processor at the same time. And these flags tells that what kind of behavior of the work queue will be. So if I have forgot to mention the flags, but there are multiple flags like work queue unbound. In that case, if we specify work queue unbound flag, then it is saying that our work can be scheduled on any of the processor or by any of the threads on a specific processor. And when we have defined our work, then we have to queue the work, and so that it can be scheduled on a specific processor. And if we want to queue the work after some delay, then we can use this function, and then we can flush our work. So this is the flow which we can see. So in the interrupt handler code, we define our work structure, and after that we provide the work to this structure to the work queue, and then those work will be taken by the kernel threads, and they will handle that in the bottom half with the help of kernel threads. So here is the summary of all the structures that we have discussed for the work queue. So as we have discussed that each work is associated with this work queue. So actually the work is not specifically assigned to this work queue, but those work are associated with this pool work queue. So as we have discussed that pool work queue is kind of service to this work queue. So the work is actually attached to this pool work queue, every work, and these pool work queues uh, can put the work in any of the worker pool here. And these worker pool are specific structures for the CPUs. So there are two kind of uh, work queues for each processor. This is for normal work queue and this is for high priority work queues. If our work queue is high priority, then it will go to this work queue and it will schedule in these worker pools. And from these worker pools, our worker threads continuously will take our works and it will process the work. So this is the code as we have discussed. So we have to write a work queue handler in the device driver code. Then it will we have to schedule the work. Then it will raise the kernel will raise this function queue work queue, and this queue work queue function will queue our work on a specific CPU, and then on that specific CPU it will go to the worker pool structure, and from that structure our kernel threads or worker threads will take our works and process them accordingly. So let's now see the implementation of the work queue and see how the functioning of the work queue we can implement in our code. So let's discuss how we can implement the work queues in our device driver code and how we can schedule that work with the help of interrupt handler. So this is the static way. Similarly, we can do for dynamic way. So these things are common. I am defining the ARQ number 1, and here you can see that I have defined this work queue function and work in this way. By this macro declare underscore work, we are declaring our function, our work and work queue function, and then in the interrupt handler code we are scheduling this work similarly as we have done for the tasklets, and in the work queue function we are getting logs, and then we are saying that we are inside the work queue function and printing the value of the handler run count variable. So for a static way, we don't have to do anything in the device initialization function. Here we just have to register our interrupt as we are doing for every type of work queue. So this is the same code. So let's run and see how does it work. So I have already make of the files. So let's and it has generated the modules. So let me directly insert it into the kernel. Ins mode so here you can see that our device driver has inserted, and here you can see that it is inside work queue function. So I have pressed around 12 times the work keys of the keyboard after inserting our module. So it has printed this this message for 12 times. So this is how it works. And let me show you the status of the interrupts in the system. So here you can see that this is the interrupt for keyboard, and here two devices are registered. One is this device is our device, and this is the default keyboard device that it comes with. So this is how we are uh, registering the shared interrupt into the keyboard interrupt line. So let's discuss which bottom half we have to use, because we have discussed all the three bottom halves. So as we know that soft IRQs are very specific, and they are run for very time critical and high frequency usage, like networking subsystem. For other works, we can use the tasklet, because tasklet is the replacement for soft IRQ. So the tasks which are not time critical and high frequency in use, then we can use the tasklets. And work queue can be used when our we want to run our code in the process context, and our code is able to sleep when required, then we have to use the work queues. So we need locking of the different bottom halves, because uh, like in the work queue, they are scheduled on any processor, and the same work queue can concurrently run on the same processor. So there will be shared data between two work queues running on different processor or same processor. So we need locks to synchronize, and we need less locks in the case of tasklet, because tasklets run on a specific CPU. But when two tasklets are sharing the same data, then in that case, we need the proper locking. And as we know that soft IRQs can run anywhere, so we need the lock for all the shared data in the soft IRQs. So when we want to disable the bottom halves, then this is the function local underscore bh underscore disable. So it will disable all the soft IRQs and tasklets running on the local processor. These function accomplish the task with the help of this variable called preempt count. So when this variable reaches to 0, then the bottom half processing is enabled. When it is non-zero, then that means that we can't run soft IRQs or tasklet on that particular processor, and that means that our bottom halves are disabled. So let's check the code for these two functions. So here you can see that it is just simply getting the pointer to the thread info, and it is the task struct. So in that task it instruct, we have a variable preempt count. So it is incrementing that variable with the help of some specific value, soft IRQ offset value. That means it will make this preempt count variable to non-zero. So that means the bottom halves will be disabled. Similarly, in the local underscore bh underscore enable, it is just doing the opposite of the previous function. So here it is decrementing the added value while it was disabling the bottom halves. So when we want to schedule the bottom half, then we have to check the preempt count, as well as if some soft IRQ is pending on the processor, then we have to run that soft IRQ. So this is all for this video. So in this video, we have discussed about work queues, that is one of the bottom halves, and we have also seen different kind of structures and functions related to the work queue. And at the end, we have discussed some synchronization and concurrency of the bottom halves. These are the references for this video. So this is all for this video. I will see you in the next video.